sandwich biscuits made out of with chocolate in the middle. Really tasty, really highly recommended. Just saying. I love these. Like, I used to eat these as a child a long time ago. I haven't had these in ages. Been eating a few now. Just took like a few here that were remaining because my siblings were eating some of them. But yeah, just kind of recommended, highly recommended those biscuits with chocolate in the middle. That's some good shit. But yeah, either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name is RuffledRowlit, or my name's been RuffledRowlit. Why would I say that? That just sounds weird. Either way, my name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome to a brand new video, guys. Today we got another rumor, but also a subject line that I think is worth covering. Now, I already recorded a video which included the subject line of Pokebank, showing up, and how Masuda's kind of said that most likely we'll see like a return of like Pokebank in some shape or form, or at least something in the similar to it. But the thing, though, is the original video had a little bit of an issue, which was I covered another rumor at the start of it, and that rumor is literally, like, it was fake. It was just straight up fake, and I decided that instead of posting that one, it's just better to re-record it and talk about a different rumor at the start, and then also cover Pokebank at the end. But yeah, so it basically will be me just repeating information from, Masuda's little post here, which we'll talk about. And yeah, so let's get into the actual rumor first, which is what we're going to talk about in the beginning of this video. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This was sent to me by StinkCop on Gmail, on my email, rather. So thank you, by the way, for emailing me. If you guys do have emails and you have stuff you want to send my way, please do so, because I get a lot of stuff like that, and I always go through them. I may not always respond. Sorry about that. It's just sometimes I just do not have the time in the day, to go through every single message and respond to everything, because I get a lot of them. But feel free to keep sending stuff, because I'm always going to, be looking through stuff all the time. So if I do not respond instantly, it's because either I'm busy or just haven't been able to, or I literally just forgot about it. So I apologize about that. Either way, here is the rumor, though, that we're going to start off here. So the guy posting this, just titled it with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then his name is Professor Oak, so top notch on that one, lad. Top notch on that one. But it's a kind of a weird rumor, because it's kind of, I don't know, it repeats a lot of information from other stuff, but I mentioned some things we haven't heard before that are just really strange. I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit of a weird rumor, but here's how it starts off, though. The Galar region will have 103 Pokemon, alright? So that is reasonable, but then he goes on to say here that 83 are new Pokemon and 20 are regional forms. Now, 100 Pokemon, 103 brand new Pokemon is what I want. That wouldn't be including regional variants or megas or any of that sort of stuff. I just want, personally, 100 plus brand new Pokemon. And I think majority of you guys out there also want 100 plus Pokemon, because that's what you really want to see. A bunch of brand new Pokemon in a brand new region with tons of Pokemon to explore and catch. You know what I mean? But having 20 of them like that, it just wouldn't be as interesting, I will say. But yeah, also, again, 103 Pokemon, it's just a number. Bunch of people say numbers. We've seen people saying, like, there's going to be 150, 170, there's going to be 97, there's going to be 95, there's going to be 75, there's going to be 89, you know what I mean? There's been a bunch of numbers thrown around, and I'm not sure if any of them are real, so do keep that in mind, though. There are about 350 out of 400 Pokemon catchable from other regions. Now, this is confusing as shit. I was already reading this, right? Because I read this rumor down to about the second line here, or the next line here, and I was reading this, and I was like, so confused, like, what do they mean by 350 out of 400? Or did this person seemingly just get this wrong? Did they maybe mean like 350 to 400 different, Pokemon are catchable? Because you don't do a dash when you're talking about, a number to another number. Like, for example, you could be like, you could be talking about, oh, you know what I mean, 5 to 10 of these cookies are poisonous, right? 5 to 10 of them are poisonous. That's something you could say, like, that makes sense. And you wouldn't do, like, 5/10, that means 5 out of 10. You would do 5 dash, like a line to 10, right? That's how you would say that, oh, we're talking about, 5 to 10 of these could be poisonous. But when you do a slash, that means you're basically talking about out of, 350 out of 400. So I'm so confused by this. Did this guy get this wrong? Because this just makes me feel like he had no clue what he was doing, just in a weird way. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong, but it gives me a little bit of a bad feeling about this whole rumor, because it makes me feel like, did this guy even know what he was typing when he was typing it out? I don't know, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it's different in the other parts of the world, but I know at least here, when I see 350, if I see 350 slash, I think that's out of, like, 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 people are, fat or some shit, something like that. You know what I mean? Now, it's a bit of a strange number, but let's continue, though. The Pokebank is usable with the game. Pokemon Go and Let's Go will not be. Alright, that is interesting. So Pokebank is going to be a subject I'm going to talk about later in this video, which is interesting. Armory buff will be attack/defense, switching for each Pokemon that acts like a buff and a debuff. Attack plus slash defense minus, defense plus slash attack minus. Am I missing something here? I'm not really sure what he means by this. I'm literally a bit confused. And my phone's going apeshit again. Apologize about that. No, I genuinely don't know what he's talking about here. Like, I'm a little bit lost. So, armory buff? What was that? What would that even mean? Can you explain, like, armory buff a little bit, like, you know, what that would imply? How that would work? All right, whatever. No new Z moves and Mega Evolutions. I'm pretty sure we all can establish at this point, we don't need to even mention anymore, that Z moves will most likely will not return whatsoever. I think that was an Alola exclusive thing, and that's not going to come up anymore. So I think we won't even see them show up as, like, you know, like how Mega Evolutions keep returning in all the Pokemon games, but there are no new Megas, but they keep returning, you know what I mean? They keep showing up. The starters are Grass Fighting, Fire Electric, and Water Ghost. Now, okay, so Fire Grass, Electric Fighting, it doesn't match up well. That's the problem. So I don't know, man. Either way, Eevee gets 2 evolutions. We've seen a million times like this. Okay, so Steel Flying. Ooh, interesting. Usually it's like Steel Dragon or Flying Poison or something like that. The Steel one looks like it has some sort of armor, and flying has wings and wings on its ears. Alternative colored poke. Okay, wait, let's read that again. Like has a sort of armor, which would make sense if it's a Steel type. And the flying one has a wings and wings on its ears. Which looks like that reminds me of a evolution Fakemon I've seen that's been drawn by someone. So that kind of reminds me of that. Oh boy, I just hit my cable. That kind of reminds me of that. So I don't know. I mean, hey, it is what it is. Next part here. Alternative colored Pokemon. Pikachu will have a new white coloration from what I've seen. Why would they do that? That's again so weird. I don't know, man. It's just so odd. The legendaries are 3 wolves: a offensive wolf, a defensive one, and a alpha wolf with 2 heads. Okay, come on, man. Really? A alpha wolf with 2 heads? Okay, Cerberus, I guess? I don't know. Evil Team is a team that robs small villages and are in war with the bigger cities. The person who is in leading them, you've seen before? Really? That would be strange. I know they usually make new stuff for these sort of games for a new generation. They wouldn't really reuse a character from the past for as a leader, unless it's like something like Rainbow Rocket, which wasn't even the main evil team of Generation 7. The main evil team there was Team Skull. Now, okay, so gyms will be a little different than we are used to. No shit, Sherlock. I think we all know that. Your rival is a rival that starts weak in the start of the game, but halfway through the game he gets stronger and he'll become more of a jerk because of something in the story that will happen. Now, as I said earlier, this whole video is a little bit of a remake of another one I was working on. And that other rumor, that's literally fake. That rumor is fake. I already established that. But in that rumor, what's fun though is that it mentions that the evil, like rather not the evil, but the rival of yours would be like a rich kid that's like being really douchey, but he gets shunned by, or rather he gets like disowned by his own family. And unless he can get all the gym badges, he won't get like his basically he won't get the riches of his family unless he does that, so he gets shoved out of his family and he has to learn to live on his own without his parents' money, which I think is kind of an interesting plot line, if I'm going to be honest. I actually love that, and I was saying like how that would make sense because if you think about the UK, you got a lot of you do have like a lot of posh people, you know what I mean, people with like a lot of money that are very like I don't know, just get a little bit of an ego, if that makes any sense, or like just rich kids in general. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, like those like billionaire kids that like just buy Lambos and post them on Instagram and all that sort of shit. That's kind of what I'm talking about. When you think about those, right, I can imagine your rival being somebody like that, and you're basically like you're the opposite, right? And he'd be like, oh, JMI, oh, it's a peasant, and you're like, we're the peasant, and we're like, boy, my name Tambutu, I am going to fuck you in the ass, I'm going to show you the way. You know what I mean? Like, I would imagine this rival being a posh bastard, or a posh lass, I don't know, just basically being like this very rich, condescending character, and you'd be like, oi cunt, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, cunt. You know what I mean? I love that. That genuinely would be a lot of fun to actually do. If you this rival of yours starts off like a douchebag, but then kind of gets better as their story progresses, and you alongside them are like beating the shit out of them and teaching him a lesson. I think that would make sense. Either way, I don't know. But yeah, let's continue here. So, Evil Team is a team that rows small villages. Okay, this will be different. All right. Something totally will happen. There's some sort of Pokemon racing minigame after you beat the 6th gym, which would be interesting. What kind of racing connection would you make to the UK though? I can't really think of anything, but oh well. After beating the Elite Four, we unlock Pokemon tournaments and a small island to explore as post-game. Which again, we talked about that and the potential of that. And some sort of quest system will be introduced in this game with rewards. Okay, so graphics will be better than they are in the trailer, and the movement and rotation will be better in the games before than the previous games from before, which would make sense. I think that's something I've talked about before. I talked about this when I talked about the graphics discussion yesterday, and I'm going to talk about rotation, like, camera rotation in these games, and how that most likely will be a thing, and it's going to be good. So we'll talk about that as well later on in a different video, but I want to go over to the subject of Pokebank. Now, as for this rumor, I think it's fake, honestly. 99% of these things are fake nowadays. There's probably one of these out there that's real, but we can't really dissect which one it is, because there's so bloody many, okay? Like, legit, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many, I don't even know anymore. But I thought this one would be fun to cover, though, so let's go over to the next subject here, which is Pokemon Bank. Now, this was posted about 5 months ago, and this is coming from Masuda here, and this was actually real news. This was posted on Famitsu, which has had actual interviews with Masuda and Ishihara and all them dudes over at Game Freak and the Pokemon Company. And this one's interesting. Oh, sorry about my chair shaking. It's just like my leg is just all like, going crazy. I'm like a dog sometimes, like waving my tail. Instead of waving my tail, I actually wave my leg. But yeah, so here's basically what we have, though. Masuda reiterates players can carry over their old Pokemon to the Pokemon 2019 Switch games. And here's what the info states. This year, many trainers were concerned but they will be able to transfer the Pokemon on the Nintendo 3DS to the Pokemon 2019 games coming to Nintendo Switch. Game Freak director Junichi Masuda, who previously commented on the issue, reiterated in a GameStop interview, and we'll actually open this previous comment here and read about it. But reiterated in a GameSpot interview that he and his team are thinking of the best way for trainers to transfer their Pokemon. One of the best possible methods is through Pokebank. Masuda added that they know it's important for everyone to transfer their Pokemon, as people will become upset if they don't have any means to do so. While Game Freak is still figuring out the details, which is a rather complex thing, Masuda says, Masuda says that they definitely plan to allow players to transfer Pokemon to next year's game. So at least that should be, for those who are curious about Pokemon Bank, here is your confirmation that Masuda essentially is confirming we're gonna have the ability to transfer our old Pokemon. And I think that's something that is very important to them. You may think it isn't, but they do give a lot of thought to that, and they do care about that. Because I think for them it's worth it, because honestly, it just allows them to potentially sell more copies of older games. It also allows them to, get interest in these newer games, because then basically people who are like, oh, but if I can't use my Pokemon from this game, which I really like, from this old Pokemon game, then what's the point? And then they could be like, oh, well, guess what? You can, because you can just transfer it over, and you could be like, okay, cool, that's awesome, now I want it. You know what I mean? It's a business decision that makes sense. And also, I do think they care about the player base that, they want to do that. And I think that's kind of proven if you look back at this old post from 8 months ago. This was even longer ago, where Masuda says he's looking for a way to allow players to transfer Pokemon to the Pokemon 2019 Switch games. Now, in the first Famitsu interview about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Squeevy, Game Freak director Junichi Masuda briefly commented on the traditional Pokemon core RPG games heading to Nintendo Switch in 2019. First, Masuda reiterated that both Pokemon 2019 games will be similar to those previously released on a handheld console such as the Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo DS. So we already know that now with Sword and Shield. On the question of whether the players will be able to transfer the Pokemon from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee to 2019 titles, Masuda said he remembers a time where players felt bad about not being able to move over their Pokemon from Gold and Silver and Crystal to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Masuda says he wants to avoid, or hopes to avoid, that scenario again, but did not offer any explanation on how it would work and whether the games such as Ultra Sun and Moon are eligible for transferring Pokemon over. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section down below is what they asked here. But, I think here he reiterated, this is a future one. This is a post 3 months later, where he clearly says, a little bit more firmly that, they're planning on doing it, but it's a rather complex situation where they don't know how they can handle it. And you may be like, oh, but it's super easy, what's the problem? Do remember, you're trying to send, from a DS or a Game Boy over to this thing. It's gonna be a little bit complicated. Also, it's on right now. Damn. Got Sonic Mania right there. Pretty good shit. I kind of want to play that right now. God damn, I don't know, dude. I'm weird. I'm weird as fuck, man. But the point I'm trying to make is that clearly Masuda does care about that, and I think we can firmly establish as a community that we are going to see the ability of transferring a Pokemon over in some shape or form. Will that be through Pokebank? Highly likely. I think it's highly likely that that's the way they'll go. Plus, that would also make them a little bit of money as well if they do make Pokebank something you have to pay for again. But also, they could also make Pokebank something that comes alongside your Nintendo Switch Online, purchase and whatever. So that gives more incentive to buy the Nintendo Switch Online system thing. The kind of the feature, which I don't even use right now. I literally have not paid for that now. I paid for 1 month and for 2 months. I think I paid for 2 months. And I haven't used it since. I literally have not used that feature since then. So for me, it's basically what's the point of buying it? But if they end up being like, oh, if you get that, you can get Pokemon back, I'd be like, okay, I see a bit more of a reason now to pay for this more than 1 month. You know what I mean? So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's an interesting subject to bring up and talk about, and I think a lot of people, like especially you guys, really are curious about this because it's important for you. You know, will you be able to get your Pokemon that you love from your previous games over to the Sword and Shield? I don't know, man. But that's gonna be the end of the video, guys. If you did enjoy, drop a like down below. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day, and bye bye, ladies and gentlemen.